Imagine watching your favorite NBA player drain a three-pointer, throw down a monster dunk, or dish a no-look assist. Now imagine finding out that none of it mattered, that the game you were watching, the outcome you were celebrating, was decided before the ball was even tipped off. Not by skill, not by heart, but by criminals in a back room wearing special contact lenses that could see through cards, using X-ray tables straight out of a James Bond movie, and answering to 4 Mafia crime families who controlled everything with threats, violence, and blood money. This isn't fiction. This isn't a Netflix series. This is real, and it just happened. October 23rd, 2025, the day the world stopped spinning for the NBA. The day FBI Director Kash Patel stood in front of cameras in New York City and uttered words that will echo through sports history forever. This is the insider trading saga for the NBA, and the fraud is mind-boggling. 11 states, simultaneous raids, coordinated FBI takedowns, pulling people out of their homes, NBA coaches, NBA players, former champions, all arrested, all charged with crimes so severe they could spend the next 20 years behind bars. We're not talking about millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions. We're not talking about a few bad bets. We're talking about rigged poker games with technology so advanced it sounds like science fiction. Shuffling machines that could predict every hand, poker chip trays with hidden cameras, contact lenses that revealed invisible ink on pre-marked cards, and X-ray tables that could literally see through the deck. $7 million stolen from victims who thought they were playing a fair game. One victim alone lost $1.8 million in a single night. And when people refused to pay, the Mafia came knocking, with threats, with violence, with gunpoint robberies. But here's what makes this absolutely devastating. This scandal doesn't just involve random people on the street. We're talking about Chauncey Billups, NBA champion, Portland Trail Blazers head coach, a man beloved by millions. We're talking about Terry Rozier, Miami Heat guard in his prime, making millions. And we're talking about Damon Jones, LeBron James's friend and former teammate, who allegedly sold private medical information about the king himself to gamblers. Information about LeBron's injuries, his ankle soreness, when he would sit out, all sold to criminals so they could bet and win while fans watched, completely unaware they were watching a rigged system. The reactions? Absolutely explosive. Shaquille O'Neal, sitting on live television saying, "I'm just ashamed." Charles Barkley screaming, "These dudes are stupid. You under no circumstances can fix basketball games." Kenny Smith arguing about gambling addiction, while Barkley fired back with pure rage. Coaches in shock, players in disbelief, fans across the world asking the question that changes everything. If you can bet on these games, why would you believe the games are real? This is the story of how the Mafia infiltrated the NBA, how 4 of New York's 5 crime families, the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese families, came together in a conspiracy so rare that federal prosecutors could barely believe it. How insider information became a weapon, how trust became a commodity, how technology turned America's favorite sport into a criminal enterprise, and how the FBI spent 4 years infiltrating, investigating, and finally bringing down an empire built on lies, fraud, and betrayal. Hold on to your wigs. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear will change how you watch basketball forever. Welcome to the worst scandal in NBA history. When the arrests came, they came like thunder. 11 states, coordinated takedowns, FBI agents moving simultaneously across the country, pulling people out of their homes, their offices, their lives. And standing at that press conference in New York, FBI Director Kash Patel looked America in the eye and said the words that would haunt the league forever. This is the insider trading saga for the NBA, and the fraud is mind-boggling. $7 million. That's just what they know about from the poker scheme alone. But the betting conspiracy, we're talking about hundreds of millions in illicit wagers, tens of millions in fraud and theft spanning multiple years. This wasn't some underground operation in a back alley. This was happening in Manhattan, in the Hamptons, in Las Vegas and Miami, right under everyone's noses. And the technology they used, it sounds like something out of a spy thriller. X-ray tables that could read cards face down, shuffling machines secretly altered to predict winning hands, poker chip trays with hidden cameras, even special contact lenses that could see invisible ink on pre-marked cards. This was Ocean's 11, but real, and it was destroying lives. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where it cuts deep into the heart of the NBA. 3 names emerged from the chaos. Names that sent shockwaves through locker rooms, front offices, and living rooms across America. Chauncey Billups, Portland Trail Blazers head coach, former NBA champion, beloved by fans. Terry Rozier, Miami Heat guard, a player in his prime. And Damon Jones, former player, unofficial Lakers assistant, and LeBron James's trusted friend. These weren't nobodies. These were people with everything to lose, and they allegedly threw it all away. The night the news broke, inside the NBA became must-watch television. Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith sat at that desk, and what unfolded was raw, unfiltered, and absolutely explosive. These weren't scripted talking points. This was real emotion from men who had given their lives to this game. Shaq spoke first, and you could hear the pain in his voice. I know everybody that's at play, and I don't like to sit up here and be hypocritical, but every year, they would give us forums on what and what not to do. He wasn't just commenting on a scandal. He was talking about betrayal, personal betrayal. I'm just ashamed that they put themselves and put their family and put the NBA in this position. Then came the question that cut through all the noise. If you're making $9 million and you're dealing in certain things, how much more do you need? Especially if you know you can do jail time, lose your career, put a bad image on yourself, your family, on the NBA. But Kenny Smith saw it differently, and this is where the debate ignited. We have to realize gambling is an addiction, he said. The addiction of it is what makes you make illogical decisions, not because you make $9 million. He talked about the FBI director mentioning a victim who lost $1.8 million. That man clearly had money, but he still lost it all. Because addiction doesn't care about your bank account. It doesn't care about logic. It consumes you. Charles Barkley, he wasn't buying it. Not for a second. Man, this ain't got nothing to do with damn gambling addiction. These dudes are stupid. His voice rose, anger and disbelief mixing into something raw and real. You under no circumstances can you fix basketball games. Under no circumstances. He hammered the point home. That's just total stupidity on these two dudes' part. This wasn't about psychology or compassion for Barkley. This was about betrayal of the highest order, and he wasn't going to sugarcoat it. This exchange captured everything. The divide in how we process corruption. Are these people victims of addiction, or are they simply greedy criminals who knowingly destroyed the integrity of the sport? The answer might be both. But the damage? Let's break down exactly how sophisticated this operation was, because this wasn't some amateur hour betting ring. This was organized, calculated, and devastatingly effective. Operation Nothing But Net. That's what the FBI called the insider betting scheme. And the concept is as simple as it is insidious. Individuals with access to NBA teams, players close to them, coaches, would provide non-public information to gamblers. Information about when players would sit out, when they'd exit early due to injuries, when their performance would be affected by undisclosed ailments. Then, the gamblers would use this insider knowledge to place prop bets before the information became public. Think about what that means. If you know for certain that a player is going to sit out or play limited minutes, you're not gambling anymore. You're just collecting money. It's insider trading for sports betting, and it worked. At least 7 NBA games were exploited this way. The schemes targeted prop bets, those wildly popular wagers on individual player performance. Will player X score over or under 20.5 points? These bets have exploded since sports betting was legalized. Americans wagered over $100 billion in just the first 8 months of 2025 alone. But the real cinematic nightmare was Operation Royal Flush, the poker scheme. This is where the Mafia enters the story. 31 defendants, 4 crime families, the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese families, all working together. And that almost never happens. Federal prosecutors made it clear, bringing 4 of the 5 families together in a single indictment is extraordinarily rare. It reflects how deep this investigation went and how much skill it took to infiltrate. The poker games operated in the wealthiest locations imaginable: Manhattan penthouses, Hampton Estates, Las Vegas high roller suites, Miami beach clubs, And the bait? Former NBA stars. The presence of celebrities like Billups and Jones added legitimacy and excitement. Wealthy victims thought they were getting the chance to play high-stakes poker with legends. What they didn't know was that everyone else at the table was in on the con. The dealers, the other players, everyone. They were the only real gamblers in the room, and they never stood a chance. Now we need to talk about LeBron James, because his name came up, and the circumstances are heartbreaking. LeBron is not a suspect. Let me be crystal clear about that. He's a potential victim, but what happened to him cuts deep because it involved trust. Damon Jones, LeBron's friend and former teammate, allegedly betrayed that trust in the worst way imaginable. February 9th, 2023, just days after LeBron broke the all-time NBA scoring record, a historic moment that should have been pure celebration. There was a Lakers-Bucks game coming up, and Jones allegedly texted co-conspirators that LeBron would sit out due to ankle soreness. Information that wasn't on the official injury report yet. The bettors used this insider knowledge to place wager on the Bucks before anyone else knew. The Bucks won. The money flowed. And LeBron? He had no idea his friend was selling information about his body, his health, his private medical status to criminals. Then, in January 2024, Jones allegedly did it again, tipping off another Lakers player's limited minutes due to injury. A bettor placed a $100,000 wager on the Lakers to lose. Ironically, the Lakers won that game. The bet failed, but the intent was there. Use private information, exploit trust, make money. This is what happens when the line between friendship and fraud gets obliterated by greed. Terry Rozier's story might be the most damning of all, because it allegedly involved active game manipulation. March 23, 2023, Charlotte Hornets versus New Orleans Pelicans. Rozier, according to federal prosecutors, informed his childhood friend that he would fake an injury and exit the game early. Armed with this knowledge, the friend and co-conspirators placed over $250,000 in underbets on Rozier's performance statistics. Then Rozier left the game after just 9 minutes. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. The bets paid out, tens of thousands in profits. Split with Rozier. If this is true, if a player actually faked an injury to manipulate his own statistics so gamblers could win, then we've crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. This isn't just insider information. This is active fraud. This is a player controlling the outcome for financial gain, and it strikes at the very foundation of competitive integrity. The NBA investigated Rozier in 2023 and cleared him. Then, 18 months later, the FBI arrested him. That gap, that's embarrassing for the league. It exposes how the NBA's internal investigations might not be enough. It raises the question, how many others are out there? Let's talk about what happened when victims couldn't pay. Because this is where the organized crime element becomes terrifyingly real. When people lost money in these rigged poker games and refused to pay their debts, the Mafia did what the Mafia does. Threats, intimidation, violence. Federal prosecutors revealed that defendants committed acts, including extortion and even a gunpoint robbery, to obtain one of the rigged shuffling machines. 13 of the 34 defendants in the poker case are alleged members or associates of these crime families. This wasn't theoretical organized crime. This was real. Ernest Aiello, acting Banano Street boss, Louis Bacciocchi and Omar Ayawadi, nicknamed Flapper Poker, Gambino associates, Matthew Didino, the wrestler, Genovese member. These are names out of a crime novel, but they're real people with real connections and real violence backing up their operations. Money was laundered through shell companies, cryptocurrency transfers, and plain old cash. It took the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, the NYPD, and the Waterfront Commission more than 4 years to infiltrate and dismantle this operation. 4 years. That's how sophisticated it was. So where does basketball go from here? Can the NBA survive this? History says yes. The league survived the Tim Donaghy referee scandal in 2007. But this feels different. This is more widespread, more insidious, more connected to the very betting partnerships that the NBA has embraced. Commissioner Adam Silver has been one of the most vocal advocates for legalized sports betting. He's argued that legalization helps detect fraud through monitoring unusual betting patterns. And ironically, that's exactly how some of this was caught. But critics are asking the uncomfortable question: did the NBA's embrace of gambling partnerships create the conditions for this corruption? When betting ads are ubiquitous during broadcasts, when the league has partnerships with DraftKings and FanDuel, when prop bets on individual player performance generate billions in revenue, have we created a system where the temptation is just too great? One social media user put it perfectly. If you can bet on these games, why would you believe the games are real? It's harsh, but it gets at something fundamental: trust. Without trust, professional sports crumble. Policy changes are coming, that's guaranteed. Silver has already been calling for federal regulations on sports betting, particularly restrictions on certain types of prop bets. This scandal will amplify those calls to a deafening level. Expect stricter enforcement, better monitoring, more transparency in injury reporting. But will it be enough? The defendants face serious prison time. Wire fraud alone carries up to 20 years. Money laundering adds another 20. These aren't slaps on the wrist. These are life-changing consequences. And the investigation isn't over. FBI officials made it clear this is only the tip of the iceberg. There are unnamed co-conspirators referenced in the indictments. Some of those could be other NBA figures. The next few months will bring more revelations, more arrests, more heartbreak. For now, 3 careers hang in the balance. Billups, on leave from coaching. Rozier, on leave from playing. Jones, facing charges in both schemes. Their futures are uncertain, their reputations forever tarnished. This is the story of how basketball met the Mafia, how insider information became a weapon, how trust became a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder, how technology turned poker tables into crime scenes, and how the FBI spent 4 years bringing down an empire built on fraud, lies, and betrayal. The reactions were explosive, from Shaq's shame to Barkley's rage to Kenny's compassion, from coaches expressing shock to anonymous executives admitting fear, from politicians calling for regulations to fans questioning if anything they watch is real anymore. The NBA stands at a crossroads. One path leads to reform, transparency, and restored trust. The other leads to continued scandal, more arrests, and the slow erosion of everything that makes professional basketball meaningful. Which path will the league take? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: October 23rd, 2025 changed everything. The day the FBI revealed that the game we love had been infiltrated by criminals who saw it not as sport, but as opportunity, not as competition, but as profit, not as sacred, but as expendable. This is only the beginning. The investigation continues. More names will come out, more details will emerge, and the question that keeps everyone up at night remains unanswered: who else is involved? If this video opened your eyes to the darkness lurking beneath the surface of professional sports, subscribe now. Because this story is far from over, and when the next chapter breaks, you'll want to be here. The game will never be the same. Welcome to the new NBA, where every play, every injury report, every bet placed carries the shadow of corruption, and where trust has become the most valuable commodity of all.